This debt, this destruction.
Global news impacts us.
We have to change the way we live.
This is why we need independent media.
Corporate media is talking about the current election that's going to be happening in 2022 and the potential presidential election cycle of 2024. What's going on? MAGA taking Bernie Sanders' ideas? What is going on? We got this video from Case Study QB. Be sure to follow Case Study QB on Twitter. He's being wrongly censored. Let's play it.
It all started from John right there. This Texas special election that Democrats lost. How much of a warning sign should that be for the Democratic Party?
Everything he said is 100% correct, and I think it should be a big warning sign. The Republican Party has a strategy now. Well, frankly, there are four parties in the country. There's the progressives, there's the establishment Democrats, there's the Republican conservatives, and MAGA. MAGA has a strategy. It's not just Trump, it's Trumpism. And what is Trumpism? Trumpism is attempting to become the party of the multiracial working class. That shocks liberals. They can't imagine that. But what they are doing is they are moving right on culture. That's true. CRT is bad, trans is bad, but they call it parents' rights. So they're marketing their rightward move on culture really well. But they're also moving left on economics. MAGA sounds like Bernie Sanders when they're talking about American terrorists, when they're talking about American jobs, when they're going after big tech companies. And so by moving left on culture, left on economics and right on culture, that's appealing to working class voters, including black and brown voters. Democrats don't see this coming. We overreact to the cultural moves, underreact to the economic appeal, and you're seeing it pay off for MAGA. And so this is a very important moment. John Avalon, that should be seen by everybody 1,000 times. If Democrats want working class black and working class Latino voters, we're gonna have to change our strategy and respond to the MAGA threat.
So what does that look like, changing the strategy?
Well, listen, we're in danger of becoming a party of the very high and the very low. If you pull out the working class, you've got people who are very well educated and very well off. Those people talk funny. Latinx, I've never met a Latinx. I've never met a BIPOC. I've never met, all this weird stuff that these highly educated people say is bizarre. Nobody talks that way at the barbershop, the nail salon, the grocery store, the community center. But that's how we talk now. So that's weird. And then the people who are very low down on the economic ladder need a bunch of stuff. You wind up over-promising, we're going to give you reparations to people at the bottom of the economic ladder, talking weird to appeal to people at the top of the economic ladder, and the working class walks away from you. That is the danger we're facing.
Can I just ask, because you've been on the show talking about this before, what kind of reaction do you get when you say this? What do you hear from National Democrats?
Well, I think that there is a penalty you pay if you don't go along with the normal narrative. The normal narrative has been all black and brown people hate racists, all Republicans are racist, so all black and brown voters are going to vote for Democrats. All of that doesn't make sense in the real world. All Republicans are not racist, and Republican appeals are not just racial. Right, some of them are economic, some of them are cultural.
There's a little bit of CNET, all right? Because it gets a little bit dreadful after a while, because you're hearing corporate media give their perspective. So let's actually look at that analysis, that video, because we won't bring up the second video, but you could check it out in the show notes as well. But here's the thing we have to address about voters. Not all people fit into the same block. And corporate media for a long time has been dictating who can go where, who can sit where, who is this, who is that, who's labeled. Now, with the previous elections we saw in 2016 and 2020, and going now into this 2022 midterm election cycle and going into 2024, Americans are tired of the two-party system screwing us over. And Americans are being evicted. Americans are going to debt. Americans are struggling. Americans are at risk of being homeless. Americans don't have Medicare for all. And how do you think we got somebody like Trump in the first place? Because the two-party system kept screwing over people more and more all the time. And with Bernie Sanders bowing out not once but twice, did you see Trump do that? Trump being an egomaniac, the monster, the abusive liar that he is? Now, I can't predict the future, what's going to happen with a lot of these MAGA supporters or people that are running a little bit of Trumpism. But Bernie Sanders' ideas are popular. And if you confront Democratic voters, Republican voters, independent voters, and you don't say who it's from, Medicare for All is popular. UBI is popular. Federal Guarantee Job Act is popular. Doing something about climate change, ending regime change wars, and so much more. These policies are popular amongst voters, but what do we get from the Democratic Party and the Republican Party? More of the same, that neoliberal soup. Now, the danger of a lot of these MAGA supporters or these people who are, again, associated with somewhat the Republican Party loosely is, yeah, they'll say these ideas, but just like the progressives trying to reform the Democratic Party, anyone in there trying to run the Republican Party with Trumpism, they're just saying words. Because, again, it's the Republican Party and the Democratic Party establishment will have the final say. And this is why we got to break away from the two-party system, why we have to vote independent. Lauren.
I mean, yeah, and it just seems, again, sneaky. It's sneaky of them because they know, like, they're not stupid. And if things are popular with the voters, then, yeah, absolutely. Eventually, the people who are trying to get those voters on their side, knowing that people are not going to necessarily be very well informed and just using the things that sound nice, the good buzzwords, like it's very clever and harmful. And again, I do agree with you about getting rid of the two-party system, but
it's for me observing this entire failure of the system. There was possibly a chance with Bernie Sanders if he didn't back down. There was a chance where maybe something could have been done. But right now, seeing how 2024 is going to play out, we're going to be seeing two old men, possibly Biden being the senile madman that he is, and Trump being the orange clown buffoon that he is. We're going to see two old men fighting over a bowl of soup, which is America at this point. This is how we're a dying empire, and corporate media has contributed to this. They led to the rise of the Democratic establishment and Republican establishment screwing us over. So what is the solution? We have to look at worker co-ops. We have to start building movements away from the two-party system and stop voting Democrat or Republican. And anyone, like take for example, you have Donald Trump, who was part of the Republican Party, and he was saying all these big things. But it turns out that he was just as corrupt as any other Democratic or Republican politician. Bernie Sanders is never going to challenge the Democratic establishment. So this whole idea of one group or another group trying to reform or take over said political party, no matter what, at the end of the day, the gears of both those machines will continue to chug along because the establishment has a plan. They'll use those talking points, say things you want to hear, and have you vote for them. You want to break away from that? If you're a Republican voter, a Democratic voter, independent, you got to break away from voting Democrat or Republican. Any other final comments?
I think you summed it up very, very effectively.
Jimmy Dore 2024. But run as full-on independent, Jimmy. Full-on independent, burn the system down. There you go. All right. With that being said,